Special points to consider when publishing pharmaceutical industry-sponsored research.
Industry-sponsored research is very important in the peer-reviewed literature because of the role of industry in funding high-quality research.
CSRs contain a lot of detail that is less directly relevant to the clinician who is looking to incorporate research findings into their practice. The published manuscripts tend to contain more digested information that is easier for clinicians to access.
All those involved in the publication of results from clinical trials, including pharmaceutical industry-sponsored studies, must ensure that information is provided in a transparent and credible way. In collaboration with journal editors and pharmaceutical industry representatives, MPIP developed and published 10 recommendations related to reporting industry-sponsored clinical research. These recommendations outline key considerations to ensure the integrity of industry-sponsored clinical research publications and serve as a guide for developing best practices. Through continued dialogue with journal editors, MPIP has gained additional insights that complement the 10 recommendations. The International Committee of Medical Journal Editors, or ICMJE, publishes authorship recommendations for the publication of scholarly work in medical journals. Studies published in ICMJE member journals must adhere to this authorship guidance. In addition, many medical journals that are not members of the ICMJE do follow ICMJE recommendations for authorship, or have criteria specific to their journal. Those who have made a significant contribution to the study concept or design, data acquisition, or interpretation should be considered for authorship. Authors have an obligation to provide important intellectual content in drafting or revising the manuscript for submission, to approve the manuscript prior to submission, and to guarantee the accuracy and integrity of the published work. Discussions surrounding authorship should begin early in the research process, preferably before patient enrollment begins. It is expected and appropriate that individuals from the sponsoring company who made significant contributions to the study will be included as authors on publications. Additional advice and guidance for addressing authorship challenges commonly faced when publishing pharmaceutical industry-sponsored research can be found in Good Publication Practice 3 and MPIP's 5-step authorship framework. During publication development, there may be contributions made by individuals who do not qualify as authors. These contributors should be recognized in the acknowledgement section of the manuscript with their permission. In addition to authorship criteria and best practices, the ICMJE's recommendations in Good Publication Practice 3 also address a variety of other topics relevant to the publication of pharmaceutical industry-sponsored research to guide authors in developing manuscripts that are free of commercial or promotional messaging. To prevent selective reporting and duplication of research efforts, both ICMJE and GPP3 require that most clinical trials be registered on public websites as a condition of being considered for publication. Any registration numbers assigned to a trial should be included in all publications, abstracts, and presentations of data from that clinical trial, even if not required by the journal or Congress. The registration number allows a reader to easily connect multiple publications reporting on the same study. Additionally, including trial registration information in abstracts of manuscripts is required for automated linking of the publication with the trial registration record. In addition to containing trial registration information, manuscripts should be consistent with the study protocol. When developing a manuscript, authors should ensure that the study description, study objectives, and endpoints are consistent with the study protocol. Many journals require submission of the clinical study protocol to enable peer reviewers and readers to verify that the data reported in the manuscript align with the stated objectives of the study. Maintaining originality and avoiding redundancy of the published literature is critical. When preparing submissions, authors should indicate any previous publication of the work and cite as appropriate. Authors are obligated to disclose relationships or sources of support that may influence the conduct or interpretation of a study. These relationships are often referred to as conflicts of interest or potential conflicts of interest. This includes financial and non-financial relationships that authors and their close family members have with the study sponsor and other members of the pharmaceutical industry. Authors should ensure that their conflict of interest disclosures meet the requirements of their target journal. Other sources of support, including conduct of the study, statistical analysis, and medical writing, should be disclosed in the publication along with who funded these professional services. Clinical study reports, or CSRs, are written for regulatory audiences and provide a comprehensive record of the results of a clinical trial, but often contain limited clinical context and interpretation. There is a set structure for CSRs, which is designed to provide regulatory authorities all the information on a given study, including all methods and results. Manuscripts for scientific journals should also be developed with the target audience in mind. For manuscripts, the reader is often a clinician or other healthcare professional, not the regulatory authorities as with the CSR. A well-written manuscript will allow the reader to fully understand the data presented and appreciate its context within the field. Manuscripts benefit from external peer review, and as such may be viewed as more objective or credible, having been subjected to a higher level of scrutiny. Open access and data sharing are two distinct issues to consider when publishing clinical trial data. Open access refers to the terms of accessibility and allowance for reuse of published content. Manuscripts published under open access terms are generally freely available to the public immediately after acceptance and are published with a copyright license that allows for some reuse of the published materials. Some funders require research funded by their organization be published open access, and some journals restrict the ability to select the open access option based on the funding source of the research. Some, including the ICMJE, the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, and the European Federation of Pharmaceutical Industries and Associations, believe there is an ethical obligation to responsibly share data generated from clinical trials because trial patients have put themselves at risk. As of July 1st, 2018, all manuscripts published in ICMJE member journals must include a statement detailing if de-identified patient data will be shared, and if so, how and under what terms. Data sharing is distinct from open access in that data sharing covers the raw data used to generate the figures and text in a manuscript, whereas open access refers to the presentation and depiction of data in a publication and a reader's ability to access a publication without cost. There are several points to consider when publishing clinical trial data, especially for research that is industry-sponsored. Awareness of these considerations by all those involved in the publication of pharmaceutical research is critical for ethical and transparent dissemination of the data.